I was having a really good conversation. One of my friends at work, I feel like I've been waiting all day to fucking talk, but and I was bringing up my essay and just and what's so crazy is the essay that I had posted is literally something that me and my friends talk about all the time, but you know, it comes from my little ramblings. And we were just speaking on basically how what we do influences the people around us. Like we said, the self actualization process aids within the collective healing, and we don't understand how important that is and how vital it is. Because we focus so much more on community and others and being of service to others, which is great, but at the end of the day, it's like, who's being of service to you? And when we talk about God, we always want to encompass it as an omnipresence, when God lives within you. You know, if you come from that source, the source lives within. In order to return to that source, you have to go within. And that's when you find the answers, because everything is already within you. So you don't need to be looking for no outside sources, religions, even people or other people's words, philosophies and things like that. That shit you already have, like your own philosophy, your own way of doing things. That's something that you're supposed to be cultivating for yourself. And in that space, it, like I said, it translates to the community because, one, boundaries, something that we need to learn in general, especially when it comes to community, because we do need that. And in speaking of community, I think community is brilliant, but we have to understand who we are as individuals too. And majority of us fucking don't. And I know that because I have conversations with y'all and conversations with myself. And whenever a lot of the times when I'm having these conversations, not with everybody, but a lot of the times, self-sacrifice or self-sacrifice is always the pinnacle of majority of people's issues, to be honest. Not even just with others, but with self. And the reason why I felt like it was so important to express how self-actualization and healing is more, I don't want to say more important, but it's more forward moving when it comes to the collective, because like I said, it brings you back to self. And we neglect self because we have been taught that service for others is your true purpose. And the only way you can really serve others is serving the purpose of you. And when you serve the purpose of you, you are serving the purpose of others. But of course, we don't know that because we have been taught a different way of displaying that and showing that that way of service, the way of being. We talk about the Black Panthers and even our ancestors, like a lot of them did lead Black liberation movements and things like that. But a lot of it, like I said, of course it's about unity, but even when you look within those systems, there was still a lot of corruption. Like when you think about the Black Panther Party and you hear Finney's and Assata's, like, especially Finney's story, like, because she was super raw, all of them were. But reading her autobiography, it's like even the women within the Panther Party had to fight for rights. Like, they didn't have no autonomy, really. They had to create that. They had to fight for that within there because, like I stated in the article, when you are not doing the healing and self-reflection, you're gonna become like your enemy and you're gonna start displaying those attributes because that is really what you want. You know what I mean? And when you don't self-reflect and come back to self and you're looking for a way to escape, what do you think you're gonna do when you're outsourcing? We talk about the Black Panthers, like, a lot of the work obviously is sacrificial, but it was just like, to what extent did we really reach the point? And maybe that was the point that they were supposed to reach. You know what I mean? Black liberation. we did that. We got this far. Now it's time for y'all. Malcolm X came into the Nation of Islam. He really like was disciplined within Islam, and then on his second trip to Hajj, he gained another form of philosophy through studying Islam and experiencing in Hajj on his own. And that cultivated, it created an activation within his mind, because he's now being open to a different way in which it was taught as opposed to what he learned in America. So I'm not explaining. I feel like one thing that I really like about this essay is that not only does it explore different topics that can absolutely be expanded upon, like I said before. Back to the essay. How self-actualization creates collective freedom, creates a collective what did I say? One thing that I really like about the essay that I did write was how I went into, the individual aspect of healing. So I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I get frustrated when it comes to translating certain things. Like, this shit is really irritating. It really is. Because it's like, I know what I want to say, but for whatever reason, when I get in front of this fucking camera, worse. I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of annoyed because I feel like I've been able to explain the fuck out of this when I'm in front of other people, but whatever the camera turns on, it's like I forget. But, and I don't know what that is. Like, I was able to talk about this shit all day, to the point where the conversation got so deep and I got so lost in it, so now it's just like, like, what am I even talking about? But, no, like, understanding just why. Here's my thing. Everything begins with self. And I don't think we understand what that actually means, because we have been taught for so long to outsource for everything outside of us. And I mean everything. And it's never always been like that, but it's something that we've lived for centuries because of the indoctrination, because of the programming and brainwashing and things like that. So of course our philosophy is gonna, be swayed now. But like, we sacrifice so much of ourselves, and I honestly feel like we need to take a look at what our ancestors did, because we always want to be like, oh, we're not our ancestors, but it's like, they were better than us. And they didn't even have as much resources as we had, but guess what they had? They had spirit. And they actually were, community-based. But when you look at that spirit carried them through all of that. And that's all they had at the moment. And it's just like, if that was enough for them then, and I hate to say that because of what they went through, but like I said, I'm talking about, spirituality and spirit base. We're in a space where not only do we have that, still have that connection to spirit, that's all that they had at the time, we can connect further with self outside of just thinking that okay. So the reason why I feel it's super important to achieve self-actualization and really tune into self more so than what's going on outside of yourself, because it's like, what the fuck can I really control that's going on outside of me? Like, what can I really control in this aspect? I can't. That's the whole point. And when you realize that all you can do is come back to self. And when we say you have all the answers inside of you, you are only going to embody that and understand that at its core when you have actually came to your, like, done the work. And I'm not talking about, it don't even have to be no deep shit. It could just be having that self-awareness. That alone is activation. Then within that activation, it should automatically connect to self. When you are following the path and you are really connected to self, shit is just gonna happen. When you are just flowing in alignment, shit will just happen, and you get there, like I said, by returning to self. And then it's as simple as getting to know who the fuck you are at your core. It's like, how are we doing all this community shit and we suffering internally? Why? Like, where do you think that even comes from, that internal suffering? Because if I had community that actually knew how to be community, would I really be suffering internally? Like what really is this community that we're talking about? This community that we are talking about is the community of self. And the part of community, unity, in order to connect the unity together, the commune and the unity, to connect it all together, you need you. And you need to be connected to you. And you need to understand you at your core and your depth. Because when you do that, one, you could play your role, your purpose. You know what the fuck you are here to do. And you just have that inner knowing, that self-awareness. And that self-awareness is a guide through your journey of life. That's literally what it is. But when you're looking for things outside of yourself to give you inner peace, to give you freedom, to give you these things that you want, that you have, you already have that. You're looking for an outside source to fulfill whatever it is that you have not fulfilled within yourself. That's all that you're doing. So when I say return to self, literally get to know you, study you, learn the history of you, the biology of you, because you are a world within your damn self. And until you understand that world and really cultivate that world within yourself, what the fuck are you going to create outside of here? And you could be a billionaire. Mine will still be fucked up trying to figure it the fuck out. We spent so many years looking for community outside of ourselves, looking for people outside of ourselves, looking for whatever it is outside of ourselves. When the answer is always to come back to you. And for whatever reason, we don't like to do it. The answer is you. But for whatever reason, we don't want to study you. And I understand why, but you cannot ask for the answer or be like, why is this? Why is that? And the answer is literally just coming back to yourself. There is nothing else to learn. There is nothing else to ask. There is nothing else how to. The answer has always been you. And when you cultivate that self-awareness, shit will automatically lead you to where you gotta go, because you have that solidified anchor. You have that, you're rooted. And I really feel like I should just, my experience is just very, 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 like, when it comes to this piece that I wrote, I've been talking about it all day because I've been excited. And what's so funny is I've been talking about it all day to the point where I try to get on camera and talk about it, and it's just like, blah. And I'm like, maybe it's for that. Maybe it isn't for me to, like, collectively share, because it isn't a piece that I feel like the majority is gonna get. Like, it's definitely not one of those. It's one of those, if it's for you, it's for you. And that's absolutely fine. But I just think it is important just to talk about how self-growth and self-evolution is pivotal for the collective, because we self-sacrifice so much because that has been what has been indoctrinated within us. The sacrifice, and it's never to our debt, and it's never to the benefit of the individual, because we have been taught that, you know, work and service should be to others, and the sacrifice at the end will be worth it. And it's just like, the end of fucking what? And not only the end, but it's like, why am I putting myself last? It's like what is this shit that we learned? And why is this something that we have carried for years? And like I said, it's an indoctrination. Because when we individually talk about self-sacrifice and people, like, all these cycles that we experience individually, I'm like, nigga, this is the shit our ancestors was doing on a daily, that we just carried through our lives and have issues with absolving them, because, like I said, we have never been taught to come to yourself, and what that even means, what that looks like how do you even do that? Because, like I said, we live in a world that taught us that self comes last. And if you're thinking about self, it's vain, or it's devilish, or it's like, do we not hear that? Oh, the love of self is of the devil. Oh, the love of self is like, when it comes to Revelations, that part sticks out to me a lot. So when I hear the love of self, I'm really thinking about the love of ego. Because when you're coming from an ego stance, it's very much me. And honestly, if you want to be real, that's patriarchy right the fuck there. Because how we operate in reality, we don't operate like that. We operate just like how I said, self-sacrifice. Whoo! A lot of us are fighting people-pleasing tendencies and different things like that, because that has been our lives. Through our lives, working is a self-sacrificing job. Sometimes I can't give a fuck about how I feel because I gotta clock in. Why? These are conversations that we have every day, but they're not conversations, they're more so complaints. Because it's like, if we have Bobby Hemmett, Malcolm, all these people that we listen to and gain the knowledge from every day, what's the fear in applying it? What's the real fear? Because if we're over here talking about absolving the white devils and not giving power to your enemy, we still do that daily. Because we demonize our very spirituality, our very self. So it's like, of course, if we're demonizing ourselves, how are we really going to get to know who we are? When the parts that have been seen as dark or demonic are the very essence and the essential parts of who we are. The parts that were demonized. Reflecting on this essay, I love it so much because it reminds me of how much we deny ourselves. So much. And how much self-sacrifice for others has always been the pinnacle of our purpose and success. Not everybody, but when it comes to the indoctrination that the collective has been under, I really feel like that has been the pinnacle. And the answer has always been coming back to yourself. The answer has always been internalized healing. It has always been making sure you are good in order to give. Like, I feel like I've experienced so many of the phases that we go through when it comes to our spiritual growth. And I've seen so much and I've explored so much. And there's a lot of stuff I don't know. But what I do understand is coming back to self. And the importance of cultivating your home that's within you and being rooted within that. Outside of what anybody else thinks or says, how you should govern your world. And that's a hard thing to do when you have been told what to do your entire life and shamed for it. You know, when you do things that serve your interest individually, that guilt, it should not be there. But we have been taught when you're doing things outside of what you're known to do, it's not good. It's evil. Things that we don't understand, things that are unseen, the occult, stay away from it. It's demonic. We don't understand it. So we have to be scared of it. These are all things beaten into us during slavery. Because when you learn the history of slavery, all that shit that we do now, that shit was beaten into us like a motherfucker back then. Because a lot of the cycles that we have within our communities, I'm not gonna say they weren't there, but it's just, it was just a lot of demonic things that was just taking place that we weren't a part of. Well, I don't want to say that. There was so much that I touched on when it came to the essay, from feeling and how I came about that journey and what opened me up to that, to how that carried into ancestral curses and trauma and different things like that. And how that and stems from indoctrination and brainwashing. And how the indoctrination and brainwashing had us, identifying as our oppressors. And now we're operating under a guise of them because that's the new system that was set up for us to, model after. And then when it comes to that, how we've outsourced who we are because of the indoctrination that we experience, i.e. looking outside of yourself for God, looking outside of yourself for saving, for healing. And I'm not saying that as a community we can't reach that, but I'm realizing that as a community, a lot of us don't have this form of self-awareness when it comes to having this inner knowing and just connection to self, where when there comes a time where you need answers or you need a rooting, the answer is coming back to self and having that understanding and actually moving in that space. I feel like that's the part where we kind of tussle back and forth because of the power struggles, not just outside of ourselves, but internally too. Say that when you come into knowledge of self and you've basically been taught, in your individual journey, all these lies that have been broken down and disillusioned, it sends off a signal within towards something within you that is like a reminder. Oh shit, it's something in me that's seeing truth in that. Now you want to discover Now you want to search. But we end up getting stuck at who we are as people, what we did as people, the invention, like not the physical aspect of it, the service aspect of it, as opposed to the mind, the thought, the spirit, the heart, and that form of language, that form of intelligence, if you catch my drift. Cool. And that's where the spiritual bypassing comes in, because it's like I have these tools where it's like, okay, yeah, the psychology of self, understanding the mind and understanding the soul. I don't really want to do that, so I'm just gonna eat these cute leafy greens and exercise to make sure my body is right. And it's like, yeah, the physical is cool, but what about the soul? Have you really like gone within and known thyself in that way? You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to have all this information, but it's like we don't really be applying the shit. We don't embody the motherfucker because we don't apply it, because we don't really know ourselves. Because we don't really go within. It's like it's a very scary thing, and it is very scary. But at the end of the day, how many times am I gonna go to my friend for an answer? How many more times am I gonna go to my baba for an answer? For when I have me, I know what I need to fuck to do. Your spirit speaks to you every fucking day. You need to tune into that. You need to cultivate that. You need to grow with it. You need to understand it. And that's the whole point of studying self. When you study self, you understand self, so you can work with yourself and move with you. And it doesn't not have to take years to do any of this work. It does not. It's a choice. It is a choice. And of course, healing, because healing is a tool. It's a tool. It's something that we're gonna always be doing throughout life, because we come here as spirits in physical bodies. In physical bodies, we have different components, and not only that, we're coming into a world where we're taught who to be, when that's literally the opposite of how we're supposed to operate on this plane. So it's so much shit that we're fighting against. But my thing is, there is nothing to ask. What do I do? Go within. Study you. Get to know you. Why do I do this? Why do I respond like this? Why are my triggers like this? Why am I a people please? Like, to bypass like a motherfucker. Because we understand so many different things, and it's like, I feel like we get caught up in what is done to us. And we get so caught up in our trauma and in that aspect, and keyword stuck, because we don't know how to feel, because we don't know how to maneuver through our emotions and understand that emotions are vibrations that can move through you. And that's the whole purpose of the feeling, because feelings are intelligence. Like I said, they're signals. They're not identities that attach to you. These are things you're supposed to feel and supposed to leave. Like I just said, they're signals. They're not something that you latch onto and carry through your life. And that's what creates these trauma bonds and different things like that. And what basically, we end up missing the point. And the point is really authenticity. And when I say that, it's like, okay, what does authenticity mean to you? Authenticity is 1000% honesty, realness, rawness with self in every aspect. Breaking down those altars, accepting all parts of you from the past, and how that was supposed to bring you to who you are now. It was never something, like I said, you were supposed to identify with. And that's where depression and all these things come into play, because you're never supposed to be caught up in the past or the future. Everything is happening at this moment. And that's why it's important to find your root and to be rooted in self. When we talk about expanding capacity and emotional regulation, how do you learn that? How do you hold it? How do you understand it? You understand it first by understanding how you operate, how you respond. What are your habits? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Understanding all this shit within you. And then it's just like, okay, this triggers me. In what ways can I, change my response? Oh, this makes me feel this type of way whenever this happens. How can I respond differently? Why am I responding that way? What is causing me to do that? And how can I move through that? And I can say all this shit, and the answer will always be coming back to you and doing the work. I don't care. And the work isn't nothing hard. Like, we overcomplicate it so much because we're so stuck in our heads. And that's why I tell people the first step to getting out of your mind is moving slow and being present. But one of the ways I want us to start doing that is honoring our bodies and honoring our spirits when it tells us to sit the fuck down, when it tells us to not do something that we, for whatever reason, feel the need to do, when it's telling us to slow down. Like, you don't have to rush. You're not gonna be in trouble. You're okay. You're safe. Breathe in. Let that shit go. Breathe in you. Center in. Alright. Let everybody the fuck else go. Because at the end of the day, when you think of breath, always think about that. I think that's important. You're keeping you and you're leaving everything else. You're breathing in and you're leaving everything else. Another important piece that I really love in the article when I talk about power without domination, because when we talk about power, we all hold it and we all hold our own power too. And honestly, I see why we fear it, because we see what it does to people. And it's so true when something is tangible in your hands. There's a different way you're going to always go about it and see it. Like, your mindset is going to change because now it's in your hands. It's like, okay, now that the ideal is reality, what the fuck do I do with it? It's like, a lot of the times, people go and, lead within their ego. And that's honestly kind of the lather, because like I said, when you don't go within yourself, that's all you have is the outer, is the physical appearance. You know what I mean? So that's all you're gonna go by, and that's how you're gonna lead, and that's how you're gonna see how things should be, because it's just basic surface level shit, as opposed to like understanding the spirit and the depth of the spirit and the depth of what control actually is, and understanding that when you trust spirit, that alone is control, because you understand the power that you already have within you, and there is nothing outside of you that you need to gain more of it or to hold it. I don't need to abuse you. I don't need to corrupt you. If I have everything I need within myself, why would I need to do any of that? Now you see who does that. So it's just like I just feel like this shit is important, because when you don't understand, what power is, and You don't heal certain parts of you that will probably wreak havoc if you had the power in your hands, because you haven't, healed certain things that, when it comes to the different things people have done to you. Now you want to be an agitator because you were agitated, as opposed to being like, these are the lessons that I've learned. These things happened to me, and instead of doing what other people did, is using the power that I have and abusing it, I'm gonna use it and utilize it to my best abilities, not just for for me, and then as I do that for me, I'm doing that for everybody else. Power without dominance. When we talk about the ego, I love how they do id, ego, and consciousness. Because the ego is the physical form, like the outward, and we don't need no more leaders. We need to lead ourselves. And within leading ourselves, I really feel like, like we always talk about when it comes to revolutionary work and just work in general, when it comes to like combating the shit that we're dealing with now. That's the individual work. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing if I don't know who I am, if I don't know my purpose, if I don't have my voice, if I don't have a voice or know what I need to be using my voice for? What are we really fucking doing but being repetitive? Like, what are we doing? Beyond cycling the same shit. Because it's like, what change has there really been? Don't get left behind. Don't get left